Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. Wanted to talk about the Denver Nuggets versus the Philadelphia 76ers game last night because I'm going to be honest, man, I was a little on the fence if whether or not I thought Nikola Jokic was really the league MVP. Mostly because it's very rare that a team that has a player that is the sixth seed wins the MVP. It's very rare that it happens. But last night, I understood why people keep saying Nikola Jokic is the league MVP. Right now, he's got, I believe, about a 40% chance, according to Basketball Reference, which is the highest out of all the players, of winning the league MVP. And it wasn't until last night that I really kind of truly appreciated just how good Nikola Jokic is, because, you know, the Denver Nuggets haven't had Jamal Murray all year, and they only had Michael Porter Jr. for 9 games before he went out for pretty much the entire season. And the Nuggets are projected to get Jamal Murray and Michael Porter back right before the playoffs, which is going to be a huge boost for them, I will say that. But the idea that Nikola Jokic was able to lead this team to a 41-28 record pretty much by himself. Aaron Gordon's been huge. Bones Highland was a great draft pick for them. They play really good fucking basketball. And Nikola Jokic is just playing on another level. I'm just going to call it what it is. He's very, very good. And last night I was even like, going into that game, I kind of thought Joel Embiid was more of an MVP candidate than Nikola Jokic, mostly because the 76ers have a better record, and for most of the season, right, Joel Embiid's kind of been playing by himself. And there's an argument to be made that, you know, Joel Embiid is the league MVP. He's in the top 3 easily, mostly because he didn't have Ben Simmons, and this team is now, I believe they're second in the East at the moment. I could be wrong. After last night, that loss might have dropped them down. But, okay, so, yeah, they're third, actually, in the East. But, and after last night's win, Denver is still 6th, but it's just the idea, man. Like, Nikola Jokic pretty much outplayed Embiid last night. And they had James Harden. They had a full squad. You know, the 76ers had Embiid, Maxey, Harris. They had Harden. And Nikola Jokic still managed to get it done. Even at the end of the game, he managed to pull through, sink a free throw for them to, like, really kind of ice the game. And, you know, when one guy can go out there with a bunch of other players that are, you know, he's supposed to have two other, you know, potential star players on his roster, and he can go out there and beat Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Tobias Harris, I got to give it some credit. It was impressive, to say the least. And Jokic outplayed Embiid in every category except for points. And you know what, man? When it comes specifically to, like, the 76ers, watching it last night, I feel like the biggest issue with the 76ers is consistency. And this is something that could get ironed out in the next, you know, however many games are left of the season. But, for example, the second quarter, they were abysmal. The 76ers were bad in the second quarter. They had James Harden out there with the second unit, and the second unit shot 3 of 15. And James Harden wasn't much better. He shot 2 of 7. And entering the third quarter, he was 3 of 8. You know, at the start of the third quarter, he was 3 of 8 and only had 10 points. James Harden got off to a very slow start. And then, you know, as the game went on, obviously he started scoring more. But if you're the 76ers and you're going to make a championship run, you can't have inconsistency like that. You can't have quarters where your whole second unit shoots 3 of 15. And that's what I think the biggest issue is for the 76ers is obviously their bench depth. I mean, Georges Niang is, like, you know, throwing bricks at the backboard essentially when he shoots. Like, I don't know why they keep Georges Niang. I don't think he's a good player. Matisse Thybulle really needs to work on shooting threes this offseason. Like, if there's any part of Matisse Thybulle's game that really needs improvement, it's shooting. He's a great defender, but that's pretty much it. That's kind of what he brings to the table is defense. And yeah, that's going to help in the playoffs, but, you know, you got to be able to knock some fucking shots down. Danny Green was pretty much, I felt like every time I watched Danny Green shoot a shot last night, he was hitting the back of the fucking rim. Even if I pull up the stats, like, I'm kind of interested to see how, like, James Harden shot and everything like that, because I didn't really pay attention to the box score last night. I paid attention to Jokic and Embiid, but as far as everyone else, you know, Embiid was 11 of 20, is pretty good. Harden was 6 of 11, that's not bad. Maxey 7 of 13, not bad. Harris was 4 of 9. Harris had like a little shoulder something going on. I think it was like in the second or third quarter. But like, for example, Danny Green shot 0 of 5. DeAndre Jordan 1 of 6. Georges Niang 2 of 12. Like, you can't have this, okay? You can't have it where your bench is, you know, 2 of 12, 3 of 15, you know, Shake Milton, what's his name? Shake Milton was like 1 for 1. But like, this is a team that's relying very heavily on its starters to win them games. And like, Millsap didn't play, Korkmaz didn't play. Like, you can tell like the 76ers are starting to run what their playoff lineup is going to be. Like last night, they only had a certain amount of guys that actually played, but you know, I really think going into the playoffs, the 76ers need to consider Paul Millsap. And as much as I don't like Korkmaz, I think can shoot better than 2 of 12 from the field. Like Georges Niang, I would be shocked if the 76ers retain him this offseason. Like, he's a guy that I'm just like, I don't know why he's even on their roster. Like, as a Pacers fan, Georges Niang played for the Pacers, and we didn't fucking keep him. So it's just, I don't know. It looked good last night for both teams, but last night for me was really the determining factor of who's going to win the league MVP this year, and I wouldn't be shocked if Jokic wins it. Denver Nuggets are looking solid, man. I mean, like, they're a solid team without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., and once they get Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back, I don't know how long it's going to take them to, you know, adjust. You know, Jamal Murray hasn't played in like almost a year, and you know, Michael Porter Jr. is finally, you know, his back issues are a lingering thing, but it's just the idea, man. We have to wait and see. But Denver could be a scary team come the playoffs. You know, if Jokic was able to lead them to the playoffs as a 6th seed by himself, like, I really imagine, or can only imagine, what Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. being out there with these guys is going to do. Jeff Green, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Jeff Green's been impressive. Jeff Green was, for whatever reason this year, has been very good for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, this is a team that once they get into the playoffs is going to make some noise. But yeah, the 76ers, man, they have consistency issues. And especially with James Harden not being like the most, I don't know why, but this isn't a secret by any means, but James Harden doesn't perform well under pressure. You know, like against Brooklyn, when he had to go back to Brooklyn and play against Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, he laid an egg that game. He was terrible. And we've seen it in playoff games and stuff like that, and I really got to ask myself, right, like, you know, can the Philadelphia 76ers actually win with James Harden as their second best player? Because, you know, you can't get into the playoffs, right, and then be in the finals or the Eastern Conference Finals if you potentially get there and have a guy who's going to freeze up, okay? And unfortunately, James Harden has a history of doing that. You know, you can't put Joel Embiid out there by himself and expect him to win the entire playoffs by himself. So that's something that's still a concern for me. I still, you know, after the Brooklyn Nets game and, you know, some of the weird consistency issues so far James Harden has had, I'm really, really wondering. It's like, it would be fucking tragic if like the Philadelphia 76ers get out of the first round, get to the second round, and then they lose in the second round because James Harden laid an egg in that series. So I don't know, man. I don't want to jinx it, but, last night was a good showing from Denver. Very fun game to watch. It was nice to see Jokic and Embiid, have some mutual respect for each other. They were going at it pretty much all night. But, yeah, pretty solid game. I enjoyed it, and we will see what the NBA playoffs bring, because both teams are going to be in it. So anyway, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.